Hey everybody, Roxabox90 here with a Magic the Gathering financial video. This time we're going to talk about pre-ordering singles and sealed products for Magic the Gathering, particularly dealing with Theros because as you see the pre-release is on the 21st and 22nd, the set's coming out soon, and a lot of people have been asking me, should I pre-order for Theros or should I just wait for the set to come out and see what the price fluctuates and goes on. So we're going to use Star City Games here as the premier example just because they're very, very large and a lot of other retailers follow along with what they do, especially regarding pre-orders. So we're going to delve into it a little bit and I'll give you my general thoughts. I'm not going to spell out what I think would go up or down per se, but I will give a couple of thoughts about the pre-orders. The commons and uncommons don't really matter in terms of financial discussion just because they always go down significantly just because they are common and uncommon. They're open in so many packs very quickly that they get out there and are played. I don't think we don't have any, modern, legacy, vintage. They all have commons and uncommons that are expensive because they haven't been opened in a long time and they're hard to find. So they're worth more money. But in a new set like this, that new ones are coming out all the time, not a chance. Rare and mythic are where it's at, and so that's what we're going to kind of focus on. Generally, the overarching rule for pre-ordering is that everything is significantly overpriced, and within a couple months, things shift. The thing with Theros that's interesting is that it is during a major rotation, which means that old decks are going to be leaving, new decks are going to be created, so right now there's a lot of speculation going on in terms of card value. I'm just going to give you what I think are the pretty clear signs, and a lot of stuff I can't advise about just because it's too likely to change in the first week or two of the set coming out. But the one thing we can be sure, Ashiok Nightmare Weaver, like most of the Planeswalkers and the general trend, is significantly overpriced. Planeswalkers, given that they're iconic cards, tend to be overpriced because people are more likely to pre-order them just because, whoa, it's a Planeswalker. Ashiok is really not great, especially not in current standard. I don't think in any standard in the near future he's going to be anything. So charging $25 for his mythic is significantly overpriced. I expect him to drop to, I don't even think he's as playable as Chandra Pyromaster, and she dropped to 15 from 30 within a couple months of the set coming out. So I expect him to drop even faster, probably down to even 10. I'm going to guesstimate he'll drop to 10 within the first month, or maybe, maybe even less than that. He's okay in certain matchups, and they're very, very limited as is. He's really not that great, and the fact they're charging $25 for him, as you can see, he's not one of the premier cards that are getting bought out very quickly, because I think it's overpriced. So Star City Games has a whole deal about you get charged, if he drops in price before the set comes out, you get charged the lowest price, and if the price goes up, you don't get charged the additional cost. Again, nice things for a pre-order, but if they're already inflating the cards, it doesn't exactly serve your purposes. And given how quickly the set's going to shift, I would be very reluctant to drop a lot of money on singles for the set unless you know you want to run a certain deck or have ideas for that deck. So Ashiok Nightmare Weaver, again, is tremendously overpriced, as is Thassa, God of the Sea, I think, just because she, even though she's 3 and a 5/5 body and you can scry every turn, her ability it's really, really good. I just don't think it's quite as powerful as in Standard as it would be in certain other formats, particularly EDH Commander. So charging $25 for her out of the box I think is going to be too much. Her foil will probably be a good amount just because I think she's going to stick around and be a sought-after commander. I think she could work very well for mono blue, but I think she's a little overpriced for what she is. Cards I don't think are so overpriced. Porphyros, Stormbird Dragon, I think both will stay within the 20 range for a little while. I do think they have that potential. Nylea at 15, I still think she's overpriced. I don't see how she can really see a lot of play outside of limited, so I think she's just that much because she's for pre-order and that's it. And the other cards are all not tremendously expensive. Erebos is not quite standard playable right now, so again, 15 I think is a bit too much for him, and so on. So the Mythics, overall the Mythics are what they are, and you can invest them on your own front, but generally, things are overpriced. That being said, let's go to the rares. I'm not going to go through most of them because they tend to be fairly cheap. It's a new set, so there aren't many that are crazy sought after, besides for Fleecebane Lion, which I think does have a good potential of seeing play, and so given that you can run 2, 3, 4 ofs in a deck, $8 is a reasonable pre-order given that he has a lot of potential. But the real card to look at is Thoughtseize, because Thoughtseize is now $30, which is quite reasonable given that Thoughtseize was for a while $60, $70, $80. And yes, it did drop, but if you would have seen Thoughtseize in pre-order a month ago, maybe a little less than that, about that, then Thoughtseize was 15, 20 bucks. To get a playset of Thoughtseize for $80 is seriously awesome. And as you can see, it went up $10 per card. So for those who got their hands in when it was 20, good for you. Those who went up to 30, it's still pretty awesome. If you really need them, I would pick them up because I think Thoughtseize has serious potential. This is probably the first pre-order I've seen that's quite reasonable, just because it's such a powerful card and will see play in a number of formats. Not quite as awesome is the fact that the older art has gone up even more, so I personally think that's a better art, but what can you do? So that's involving singles. Generally, they're overpriced, with the very rare exception like Thoughtseize. The rest of them are generally across the board overpriced and will see at least a little drop even if they're standard playable. And so if you can wait a couple weeks, see which decks fall out, I think that's much more worth your while. In terms of sealed product, the discussion is much shorter. $120 a box almost never stays that way. The fact is, M14 is now $100 a box. I think it was $110 when it first came out across a number of retailers, but now it's $100 a box. Dragon's Maze, which premiered for $120 or even $130 on some websites, is now $110, and I think it's only that way because of voice and the fact that you can get Shocklands in the set. It's a small set with voice, so it kind of has that future sighty appeal to it. So I can see it staying there. Otherwise, it would be like $100 like 2014. So not charging $120, yeah, you get a month of SCG premium, but really, that's, I mean, if you really wanted Star City Games' their premium services, go for it. But for most people who just want the box, $120 is seriously overpriced for the box and is not worth it, as the case I think is also significantly overpriced. The fat pack at $30 is not terrible. That's actually a fairly reasonable price, and I'd encourage people to gravitate more towards the fat pack over the booster box. And of course there are sites you can find everything for a lot cheaper. I'm just using SCG across the board because a lot of major retailers follow what SCG does, and I think again these are all overinflated, overpriced. So the general thought I want you guys to get out of this video is that pre-orders tend to be overpriced, and I don't recommend most people invest a lot in the pre-orders just because the format's going to shift a lot, and the cards that are going to stand out I don't think are going to shoot up so much that you're going to be wishing that you pre-ordered it so much. Unless, of course, it's a bomb out of nowhere that we never expected, but then again, you wouldn't be pre-ordering that bomb. Neither would most people. The one that shows up out of nowhere, and how did that become anything? But I'm 99% sure you're overpricing Ashiok here, Star City. So you guys, that's my general thoughts on pre-orders. 99% of the time, you're not getting a good deal. And the 1% of the time that you are, well, then you're pretty lucky, but it's just not worth the pricing. So let me know your thoughts about pre-orders. Have you made off like a king or queen before and gotten a great deal? Have you generally found that it's overpriced and you don't like it? And that sort of business, just put it down in the comment section. Hopefully we can get a discussion started. Otherwise, stay tuned for more financial and general Magic the Gathering videos. Roxabox90 signing out. I'll see you guys next time.